Active Shade is a feature that has been available in 3ds Max since the beginning. The purpose of Active Shade is to provide near real-time feedback of your scene while you work. This is especially helpful when you're editing materials and would like to see how changing the material affects the object as it is lit in the scene, not just the sample sphere in the material editor. With the release of 3ds Max 2013, Active Shade has gotten an upgrade and the ability to render your scene using the iRay photoreal renderer. Let's open a file. Click Open from the Quick Access toolbar. From the Chapter 6 directory, open the file Chapter 6 ActiveShade01.max. This is a simple scene that is lit by a skylight using a high dynamic range image as the source. Currently, the renderer is set to the iRay renderer. Click Render to see what the scene looks like. You can see a green, somewhat shiny vase sitting on a base with the light coming from the right side of the scene. Close the render frame window. From the main toolbar, click Render Setup. Scroll down in the Common panel to the Assign Renderer rollout. Click the Active Shade Renderer option. It's the button with 3 dots. Double-click the NVIDIA iRay option to set it as the Active Shade renderer. At the bottom right of the Render Setup dialog, click the down arrow and choose Active Shade mode. Click Active Shade to open the Active Shade window. It will take a moment to update. Then you'll see the scene rendered in the Active Shade floating viewport. Close the Render Setup dialog. Then open the Slate Material Editor from the main toolbar. You may have to move the Active Shade window and the Material Editor around in order to see both. In the Material Editor toolbar, click the Pick Material from Object button. It looks like a small eyedropper. Pick the material that's applied to the vase by clicking on the vase in any available viewport. Once the material appears in the View 1 work area, double-click on the material name to open the parameters of the material. To see how Active Shade can help with materials, click the Diffuse Color Swatch. Change the hue value to 0.02 and click OK. You will immediately see the vase change color in the Active Shade window. Now let's adjust the reflection. Change the reflectivity value to 0.8 and press Enter. Watch for a subtle change in Active Shade. Now set the glossiness to 0.9 and press Enter. And notice another subtle change. Now scroll to the BRDF rollout. Change the 0 degree reflection value to 0.2 and press Enter. The vase is much more reflective. Scroll back up to the reflection area and click the Metal Material checkbox and notice the change. Again, scroll to the BRDF rollout. Change the 0 degree reflection value to 0.9 and press Enter. Now the vase looks like it's made out of a copper metal. Scroll to the Special Purpose Maps rollout and open it. Click on the Bump Map option to add a map to the bump channel. From the Material Map browser, double-click the Noise map to add a bump to the surface of the vase. You may need to zoom out and pan the View 1 work area in order to see the noise map. Double-click on the Noise map title to show the noise parameters. Change the noise type to turbulence. Change the size to 0.5 and press Enter. Each time you make a change, Active Shade will update to show you the effect of that change. We should now have a hammered copper vase rendered in Active Shade. Close the Material Editor. Make sure the Camera 001 viewport is active. In the navigation tools at the lower right, click Dolly Camera. Click and drag up to move the camera closer to the vase. maybe to about here, not too close. Notice that as soon as you release the mouse, Active Shade updated with the new camera view. Close the Active Shade window, open the Render Setup dialog, and let's switch back to the production renderer. In the Render Setup dialog, click the drop-down in the lower right and choose Production Render Mode from the menu. Click Render to render the scene, and notice that the material on the vase looks just like it did in the Active Shade view.